Hey, hope you're having an amazing day. Cutie's Creations here with another message on restitution. So, we are pursuing restitution for all African Americans in the United States of America. And what that encompasses is $2.9 million upfront for every African American. Now, I know you're like, what about kids? We'll get to that. We're definitely getting down to the subject matter of it all and how this will play out in our reality as it stands. And what we were focusing on is education, but it also encompasses financial literacy and financial wealth and judicial reform and healthcare with a focus on mental health. And our healthcare piece is the next piece that we will be talking about. So without further ado, let's get into that education. We know that with knowledge, knowledge is power, and that's why it was kept away from us. In our society, they knew how powerful it was, so they denied slaves the right to be able to read and write because of the fact that if they knew what it was, and even outside of slavery, having a poor education system won't allow people to be able to move away from that workers' mentality, that slave mentality. So we are focusing in on these things because we need a quality education. We need it to be free for African Americans because we have suffered so long at the hands of our country. Now, we have made great strides in the ways of education. We have talked about it from beginning to the end, and this is the last day on it. We will touch on it again because education is everything, but as far as like using it as a subject matter, no, we won't unless it's like talking about the legislation that is going to be built around it. So, yesterday was about the Brown versus the Board of Education with desegregation, and today we are learning the modern reforms from the 2000 to the present. The No Child Left Behind Act, which was 2001. So like, we'll talk about it. And its successors aim to increase accountability in education, focusing on standardized testing and performance metrics. More recently, issues such as school funding, curriculum standards, access to technology, and inclusive education has become central topics in the ongoing dialogue about education reform in America. These points provide a broad overview of the evolution of education in the United States, highlighting key developments and social movements that shape the current educational landscape. So, like I said, these were just bullet points, but when I'm talking about what I wanted to touch on today was what they said about No Child Left Behind. The birth of No Child Left Behind was due to the fact that Hillary Rodham Clinton had did a lot of work in Arkansas when her husband was governor, that's Bill Clinton, and she had discovered that a lot of the learning that you base all your learning off of happens in your childhood in those very first 5 years of life. So 0 to 5 was the most important. And when it's erupted into 2001, which is years later after No Child Left Behind Act, which is years before the No Child Left Behind Act, that was the birth of it in Arkansas. And then you've seen child development kind of go in explosion of not just focusing on kindergarten, but pre-K and having child development start at such a young age, which wouldn't be just pre-K, but those developmental years of 0 to 3. How important it is to nurture and all of that. So I'm bringing all of this up because all of this was denied to us. when we were forced into slavery, we had to take care of their children. Our children weren't the ones that were the focal point. And as we started to develop these more colonial ways, we had started to focus on those things. And as those things started to erupt into early childhood education, they started to see like, wow, this was like truly damaging for kids to experience these traumas so young. Well, we were birthed into trauma from slavery, and as we started to come up out of that, so just imagine you are breastfeeding and nursing and taking care of the person who is enslaving you's children in their next generation, and you have to nurture them better than your own. And the amount of time and energy that went into doing that, and you didn't have nurturing or caring or kindness for yourself. If anything went wrong at that time, you were beaten or killed. And on top of the rape, I don't know if I can say that, but it's sexual assault. So there are so many different things that have come about in the United States that has been detrimental to our education, our physical, like as you can see, these areas that I focus on, they flow right into each other. The finance, the judicial, the health with the focus on mental health, and the education and the denial of that lump sum, which would have been 40 acres and a mule. These are all things that have been denied to us in some form or fashion. And as we start to evolve and we get our own, we have infused that into our lives in this present day. Like the focus on mental health outside of the colonizers' community has exploded in the African American community. And you know why? Because now we have more money. Now we can focus on the things that matter to us and really highlight how important it is to be able to focus on, and as well as put money into it to be able to destigmatize it for the community at large. I can't tell you how many times I've heard in the Black community that people aren't suffering from mental health, and people not wanting to be labeled as crazy and not understanding that there is so much more to mental health than just being crazy. When someone puts you in under high stress for years and years and years, and you pass that on to your next child and your next child, in the next generation, you develop these habits outside of the trauma. Where if you haven't even experienced trauma, if you have those habits, you have now developed them and have passed them on to future generations, regardless if they suffer from mental health or not, and they will eventually start to experience these things and start using them as their own. I can't tell you how many people in our community have been so destructive by killing one another or putting us in high stress situations. Well, that's the way your brain reacts when you have that. Like, I was talking to my neighbor, which she gave me this beautiful stitch. I thought of Ansel when I got it because she's such a lover of stitch, and my neighbor is a lover of stitch, and we were talking about mental health because I was telling her I was healing from so many traumas from my past, and she was so surprised that I was so open about it. And I said, I'm open about my healing because it has helped me be able to live a healthier life. But shout out to my neighbor Tracy, and shout out to Ansel. And shout out to my whole family, Amy, Biggie Kings, Abdul, Keisha, Jackson, all of them are my adoptive family. I found them and they found me in my time of need, and they have wrapped their arms around me and really helped me succeed in this YouTube atmosphere, as well as giving me so much encouragement and support. So shout out to them. But back to Ansel. Thank you so much, Ansel. And thank you so much, neighbor, for this little stitch. She was talking about how family is your community. And she gave it to me because we had became fast friends, and she felt like I was her family. And that's how I feel about my YouTube family. I don't even know if they're just my YouTube family because I love them so much. But regardless, I met them on YouTube, and now they are a part of my everyday life. I don't go a day without speaking to them, finding out how they are, encouraging them, as well as them encouraging me for future success. So shout out to them. So we were talking about mental health, and she was saying how openly I was talking about the mental health piece. And then she started talking about how she was suffering from multiple things and had never really acknowledged it. And I said, there's no one outside of a therapist or a psychiatrist to talk to about these things. It's not... They had taken a lot of stigmas off of it and everything, but to have open discussions about it outside of on someone's couch, or that's the subject matter going in, you just don't get a lot of opportunities to do that in a healthy environment where there's no judgment, where you both want to evolve to a more healthier self. So we were talking about that, and she was saying how it had affected her in education. She's struggling with getting her further education, and how she has struggled with her weight. And that's how we're going to touch on these points, because all of these things run into each other. I didn't pick these 5 things just because I just wanted to focus on those 5 things. I picked them because they are the cornerstone to your happiness and a better life. And in America, we have suffered so much from those things being taken away from us. So that's the reason for the focus. If you have a low education, you can't really succeed, and you are constantly in a box you can't get out of. If you are struggling financially, even when you do get money, you'll lose it quite easily because you don't know how to manage it, or know that it's just energy. If you are, struggling with your health and health care and mental health, those things can come from financial and low education. If you have no real good education, you can't get a real good job or start your own business, for that matter. Even if you didn't want to go to school, let's say you wanted to start a business, well, if you have no idea how to do that, it would probably be unsuccessful. And healthcare goes along with it. If you aren't physically able to perform for your business to be able to, for it to be successful, then it's not going to be successful without your physical health. Your health is your wealth. That physical and that mental is your wealth. If you are of sane mind and a sound body, you can make strides that you wouldn't even believe in yourself. But if those things are strained at any time, this can affect so many different areas, and we will touch on that within the next couple of sessions, just talking about how your physical health is connected to your mental health, and how that was deteriorated on the side of African Americans, and it was purposely done. I don't think that the physical eating was done on purpose. I think that was just their way of feeding the slaves, and that was just the poorest way of doing it. The cheapest way of doing it. And then we made it into something delicious, so then we developed these habits over the years that actually kept feeding that in. All well and good. Well, not good. None of this stuff is good. But we use that as a tool to alchemize our future. We use that as a tool to teach others what not to do and how to live a better and healthier lifestyle. And how we get there is we get there together, and how we maintain it is through this restitution. We want to maintain our growth and our knowledge and the basic necessities of life through this restitution, and that encompasses the $2.9 million dollars, the healthcare with the focus on mental health, education, which is quality education, which will be free, and financial literacy, and the judicial reforms. So I thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your presence. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below, and let me know what you thought of this video. I truly, truly appreciate every single one of you who tap in and support me, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day.